It's funny because it looks so small now, but like this is the area that like a lot of the fighting that I was filming took place in.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal! We're gonna walk down to the Capitool. And we're coming with truth and justice.
En hij liep hier middenin. Ford Fischer zag de bestorming door de lens van zijn camera. En die beelden deelt hij nu met ons. Wat gebeurde er die ene dag bij het Capitool en hoe kon het zo uit de hand lopen?
So this is basically where I was standing on January 6th from about noon to 1 as Donald Trump was speaking. I was kind of filming the angle that most of the crowd around me would have been seeing of the president speaking at the time, and how they were kind of getting riled up around me as he was talking, chanting things like, "Fight for Trump, fight for Trump."
Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump!
Finally, he told everybody to march down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness.
Although he didn't follow through on this, he told them that he'd be there with them as they marched to the Capitol. I mean, it felt like a really historic moment. It was certainly interesting to hear a sitting president question the integrity of America's democracy. So we came from this direction as I was filming kind of the crowd beginning to march toward the Capitol.
We're coming for all you commie traitors in Congress that have stabbed us in the back.
And something interesting that happened right here was that there were actually a couple of SUVs that entered sort of around the Trump Hotel. And for a brief moment, they kind of ran forward to look at those people because they thought that that was actually Trump himself.
Trump won! Trump won!
Trump had basically just told them, march down Pennsylvania Avenue and I'll be there with you. So I think they were really revved up, believing that the president himself at the time was going to be taking this journey kind of with them.
Where to?
And of course they were heading to the Capitol. So it was kind of as people were arriving here from the Trump speech that I think they were realizing what was starting to happen at the Capitol. So people had already begun storming the Capitol before the Trump speech was even over with. So now you have this massive group of people who came from the speech and are joining in with the people who had sort of already started. So it was as I arrived here that there was kind of fencing that had been set up, but it had already been, people had already gone over it. So I kind of stepped over that and saw that people were also climbing all over this statue, which had also been sort of fenced off. So from there, I went over the structure toward where the scaffolding had been set up for the inauguration. And that's where I kind of first saw the fighting that was taking place. It was clear to me that the police were pretty overwhelmed. They kind of had the high ground and that it was, you know, an upward direction that they have to take to get to where the police were. But the police were shooting down pepper balls at them, but clearly there were not many of them, and they didn't have the kind of equipment that you would normally see at a riot like this. So it was very clear to me that the police were completely underprepared for what was going on. For the most part, Trump supporters usually are very supportive of the police. They have kind of a friendly relationship. And it really was only over that couple of months following the election that I think Trump supporters started to feel themselves losing the grip of power. It's funny because it looks so small now, but like this is the area that like a lot of the fighting that I was filming took place in, right? Like they were fighting over, you know, feet of space. So it was basically when they were climbing there and, you know, going up the steps there that I was like, I can't do either of those things. So I ended up wrapping around this way to get to the other side. Get up in there. So it was up there that basically Trump supporters were trying to get into this smaller entrance. So do you see like where that door is?
Yes.
Where the shots that I have of, you know, the police trying to use like handcuffs, flexicuffs to hold the door shut, and then when they fail, they shoot a fire extinguisher out the door. That all took place there. And sort of in the nick of time, as they were struggling to protect that door, actual riot officers showed up for the first time. So, you know, really hours into this engagement, this is the first time that I saw riot police with shields show up, and they started using flashbang grenades to push the crowd back. And this is when finally there was kind of real force pushing back on the Trump supporters to retake the Capitol itself.
So they were right in the middle stairs, right under the rotunda, right?
Yep, they basically went up the stairs right here, and this is where they were kind of fighting to breach that entrance, and then it was when the Oath Keepers stack kind of went up and through that finally they actually got inside. So it was here that I was told that inside Ashley Babbitt had been shot, yeah.
What did you think at that moment?
At first I didn't believe it. When I was told that you know, someone had just been shot with a service weapon, I thought that maybe there had been a flash grenade or something like that. You know, it was hard for me to comprehend that inside that someone really had just been shot to death.
Now we've got a girl that's shot, she's dead, laying on the ground in there. We're all crying like we can't save her. And you, her blood is on your hands, Mike Pence.
It was here basically that Trump supporters, after being pushed away from the Capitol building itself with the police kind of behind them, they then turned their focus toward the media. And journalists and cameras are basically set up here all the time. It wasn't like that was just here for January 6th.
Fuck fake news! Fuck fake news!
So Trump supporters stormed toward them and screamed things like, "We're the media now, you're all fake news, get the fuck out." You know, as a journalist, as someone who participates in democracy myself, I certainly want people to be able to criticize news that they don't like, but the answer to news that you consider fake or wrong or having the wrong opinion or whatever it is obviously to speak out about why you think they're wrong. Physically assaulting, you know, camera people, taking their stuff, destroying it, was vulgar and wrong.
So how do you look back on that day?
Yeah, I mean, seeing it now, peaceful, calm, empty, it's weird looking back on January 6th and thinking just how chaotic it got. It was, you know, it wasn't surprising that they tried, but it was really surprising how far they got.
Can it happen again?
You know, I think that the state probably has changed its security apparatus, so I don't think that in that sense that it could happen again the same way that it did, but I think that the types of anger that built up to that type of situation could absolutely happen again, and in that sense it could happen even worse.
Wij blijven unieke verhalen maken in binnen- en buitenland. Abonneer je om die niet te missen.